92.3 News FM.
Aksyon! 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 News Update!
Ang Aksyon News Update ay inihatid sa inyo ng all-new Isuzu Travis. Transcend your business.
Sa patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19, narito ang ilang impormasyon tungkol sa social distancing. Sa community quarantine, nililimitahan ang paggalaw ng mga tao. Ganito rin ang sitwasyon sa sektor ng transportasyon, subalit patuloy ang biyahe ng cargo at delivery. Ipinagbabawal naman ang pagtitipon-tipon sa isang lugar. Suspendido rin ang klase at ibang aktibidad sa loob ng isang buwan. Ipinapatupad din ang flexible working hours sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno at hinihimok din ang mga pribadong kumpanya na gawin din ito. Sa panahong ito, hinihikayat ang lahat na panatilihin ang layong 1 metro o 1 dipa mula sa mga tao sa inyong paligid. Labanan ang virus, pigilan ang pagkalat, puksain ang COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Dahil hindi kasya ang 1 oras, ang Power Play ay 2 oras na. Tunghayan ang lahat ng news and updates sa Philippine Sports kasama ang iba't ibang pangalan sa palakasan. Power and Play kasama niyo ako, Noli Iyala, tuwing Sabado mula alas 8 hanggang alas 10 na sa Radyo 5 92.3 News FM.
Transmitting live from our brand new studios at TV5 Media Center and Reliance Mandaluyong. By land, by sea, and on air. Mula sa pinakabaksyong newsroom sa buong bansa. 25,000 watts. Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM. Iwanan mo na ang lumang tunog ng AM.
Power Play! Narito na ako, Noli Iyala, kilalanin ang mga nasa likod ng bawat laro. Sa buhay man o sa playing court, game na tayo! Power and Play sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM. Power and Play with Noli Iyala. Isa pong mapagpalaya at malusog na umaga, Pilipinas. Nagbabalik po ang inyong paboritong kasama sa agahan tuwing Sabado ng umaga, ang Power and Play with Noli Iyala, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Alam nyo, excited ako ngayon. Hindi lamang dahil, Hulyo na ha, kalahati na po ng taon, magtakin nyo ha, natapos na. At tayo ay ilang araw na nasa loob ng nitong quarantine, ito pong pandemya. Kailangan ngumiti pa rin tayo kahit ganito po ang ating kalagayan. Basta lagi lang tayong nag-iingat. Alam na naman natin ngayon, habang lumuluwag ang mga restrictions, dumadami po ang mga kaso. Kaya po, ingat-ingat lang. Kung kailangan lang po lumabas, saka lang kayo lumabas at tandaan lagi ang mga protocols natin, ang health and safety protocols. Maghugas ng kamay, magsuot ng face mask, at lagi po tayong didistansya. I-maintain natin yung ating physical distancing. Pero ako po excited dahil hindi lamang po Hulyo. Ito po ay 4th of July. So yung mga kaibigan nating nanonood sa Estados Unidos, maligayang araw ng kalayaan dyan po sa Estados Unidos, 4th of July. Sana nag-iingat din kayo dyan. At wala pong masamang mga kaganapan na nangyayari dyan. Ako rin po siyempre, sabi ko nga, malusog na umaga. Abay, magandang balita ngayong araw pong ito para sa mga mahihilig sa palakasan, lalong-lalo na sa professional basketball at professional football. Dahil naglabas na po nga ang IATF ng mga regulasyon na pinapayagan na po ang practices ng basketball at ng football para sa mga professional leagues. Tandaan nyo po, practices lamang at para lang po daw sa pro leagues. Hindi pa pwede yung leisure basketball. Hindi ko nga alam kung bakit. Bakit? Yung ba mga professional player mas hindi tatalaban ng virus, ng COVID-19? Tamaya po, meron tayong magiging bisita at ating tatanungin. Siya po ay naging very instrumental sa payag ng IATF na maibalik na ang practices ng larong basketball at ng football. At yan po ay si GAB Chairman Abraham Baham Mitra. Mamaya po makakasama natin siya. At marami po tayo makakasama today. Mamaya rin po ating makakasama, mga kapatid, ang dalawang manlalaro na napakaganda ng aming usapan kasi na-take na po namin ito a little bit in advance, pero napakaganda po ng usapan namin. Matutuwa kayo sa usapan po namin ng dalawang talaga namang siga ng laro. Yung isa sa Bruce Brothers, si Ricky Relosa, at ang isa namang founder ng Extra Rice Incorporated, si Bo Belga ng Rain or Shine. Mamaya po makakausap natin sila. At mamaya din po, ang nakakaretiro lamang na si James Young Husband, ang ating makakapanayam, at ang dating pinuno ng Gintong Alay at naging Pangulo ng Philippine Olympic Committee, si Michael Kion. Ngayon po ay mayor na ng Lawag City, ang ating din po makakasama sa palatuntunan. So ang dami po natin pag-uusapan ngayong araw po ito. Kaya po, dyan lang kayo. Tandaan niyo po, ito po ang Power and Play hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Siya nga pala, gusto ko pong kamustahin lahat po ng mga nakikinig sa atin sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM, lalong-lalo na po ang ating taxi squad. At lahat po ng mga papasok at mga nasa sa mga ospital na nakikinig po sa atin sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM. Naimbang na bigat din po sa ating mga kaibigan sa Baguio City, sa Lawag City, at sa San Esteban, Ilocos Sur, ang aking bayan po ng aking ama na nagsapit ng kanyang kaarawan kahapon sa langit, siyempre. Naimbang na bigat po dyan sa ating mga kababayan dyan po sa gawing norte. And of course, maayong buntag po sa Cebu at sa Davao, sa lahat po ng mga nanonood naman sa atin sa pamamagitan ng 1PH Channel 6, 1PH sa Signal TV, Channel 1 ng Signal TV. Uy, Signal TV, maraming salamat na nagpalit na ako sa Signal TV. Signal TV na tayo ngayon. And of course, doon po sa mga nakikinig sa atin sa Facebook Live at sa Noli Iyala YouTube channel. Please also like us at my social media pages, Instagram and Twitter. Yan po ay simpleng-simple, Noli Iyala, at Noli Iyala. Alright, napag-usapan natin kanina yung IATF. Well, kaya nga po pinayagan na ang mga larong basketball at ang football na mag-practice. Yan po ang ating pupulsuhan, mga kapatid, ngayong araw pong ito. Pulsuhan lamang natin. Ano ba ang inyong masasabi sa desisyon ng IATF na payagan ang basketball at football practices para sa mga pros? Para po yan sa mga pros, ililiwanagin natin. Again, pupulsuhan po natin, ano po ang inyong masasabi sa desisyon ng IATF na payagan ang basketball at football practices para po sa mga professional players. Kung gusto niyo po makilahok, mag-text lamang sa aming hotline 0949-691-4956 o di kaya sa aming Facebook page Power and Play with Noli Iyala o di kaya sa Radyo 5 92.3 News FM. Alright, alam niyo po, last week inulunsad namin yung aming isang tinatawag naming Give Back Project ng Power and Play. Sa paggunita po ng aming ikalawang anibersaryo. Nag-anibersaryo po kami noong June 30, our second anniversary on air. And again, nagpapasalamat kami, lalong-lalo na sa Cherry Loom, kay paring Elmer Ngo at sa Elms Kapihan, and of course, Engineer Gilbert Cruz ng Big Boss Cement. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa inyong lahat din. At kaya po, kami merong konting proyekto. Ito po yung tinatawag naming Padyak para sa Pagbangon, Bisikleta Alay sa Iyo. Kami po ay mamimigay ng mga bisikleta kada linggo sa mga kababayan po nating lubos na nangangailangan. Ito po hindi palaro, ito po ay kawang gawa, ito po ay aming paraan para magpasalamat sa inyong lahat, sa inyong suporta, lalong-lalo na po doon sa mga talagang ngayon ay hirap na hirap dahil po sa ating dinaranasang pandemya. Para po sumali, madali lamang po at kami nagpapasalamat sa lahat po na nagpadala ng kanilang entry. I-like lamang ang aming Power and Play Facebook page. Subscribe lang po sa aking YouTube channel. Tapos mag-post lamang po ng inyong istorya. kung bakit at paano makakatulong para sa inyo ngayon ang isang bisikleta. Yun lang po. Maglagay lang po, ay diyan po makakuha ninyong bisikleta. Isa po lamang yan sa ehemplo ng ating ipamimigay. Again, kung bakit po makakatulong ang bisikleta sa inyo, sagutin din po ninyo kung sino ang inyong paborito o idolong sports personality at maglagay ng hashtag Power and Play Padjak. At pwede po kayong sumali basta nasa Greater Manila area. Ibig sabihin po yan, Kalakhang, Maynila, at yung mga karatig pook ng Laguna, Rizal, Cavite, at parts ng Bulacan. So, again, mag-post po, tuloy-tuloy po to. Hindi po to titigil ngayong araw na to. At ngayong pong araw na to, kami magbibigay ng 2 bisikleta sa nangangailangan at amin pong nabasa ang kanilang istorya. At gusto ko lang pong magpasalamat sa lahat po na naglagay ng kanilang istorya, nagpasok po ng kanilang pangangailangan at lahat po ng tumulong sa amin para po sa aming Padjak sa Pagbangon Bisikleta Alay sa Inyo program. Mamaya po mamaya babanggitin namin kung sino ang mga pinalad at na mga kaibigan natin na nangangailangan ng bisikleta na amin pong bibigyan ng 2 bisikleta ngayong araw pong ito. Alright, at this point, we are ready for our first guest. You know, he just made headlines a couple of weeks ago with his decision to finally retire. Siya po ay magre-retiro na sa larangan ng pro football at sasamahan na niya po ang kanyang kapatid na si Phil Young Husband. Alam niyo po, sila ang naging mukha ng Philippine football for over a decade. Sila ang nagpasigla at nagbago ang itsura ng Philippine football dahil po sa kanilang, hindi lamang sa kanilang laro, kung hindi sa kanilang passion and dedication to the sport. Patuloy po ang kanilang pagtulong sa mga kabataan na gustong makasama o makalaro ng football. Walang iba kundi ang right midfielder, striker ng Ceres Negros FC, and of course, a former ASCAL, the retired James Young Husband.
Good morning, Pop.
Good morning, James. How are you?
I'm good.
Are you in the Philippines? Are you in Manila?
Yes, I'm in Manila. I stayed here during this pandemic, and yeah, just been trying to keep busy.
That's good. You know, I'll go straight to the point. I know that the news is all. You've talked a lot about your retirement. A lot has been written about it, about your decision. So let me just ask you. I know the reasons are out there. You've been quoted as saying that it's the right time. You've won. You end your career on a high note, winning double championships, and of course playing your final match with the ASCOs. But let me ask you: was it a tough decision for you?
Definitely a tough decision. I've been playing for the ASCALs now nearly 15 years, and I say this to some people as well. I don't see anything taking over or eclipsing my time with the ASCALs, and personally, like that whole experience and like the whole group, like the coaches, the organization, the players, and the fans. They've become a family to me, and of course, yeah, it was a very tough decision. But as I said, it's been a while now, and I feel like it's time to let the younger generation have a go now at having the experience I had as a young player.
But many are still, of course, many remember your play, and you're still very young. You're only 33. Is it 33? Am I wrong?
You got it right.
Right. All right. So, the question is, can you still play if you wanted to?
I feel I could. I just feel like with this pandemic, I want to start early with the next phase in my life, which is I believe going into coaching. I feel it's best to start earlier, and yeah, it's as well during this pandemic. I think that I have a lot of things I'd like to explore, experience, such as coaching, more traveling, and so I could still play, but I think it's fair to do it now rather than later.
How much did the decision of your brother Phil have a hand in your own decision, as well as this pandemic?
It had to be honest, it had a big hand as well. Like with my brother's decision, I said this last night as well. He just recently had his welcomed his son into the world a couple of weeks ago. So I think it just shows where he is at his life as well, and me also as well. I'd like to have that experience as well. Maybe not too soon, but as well. So of course I have to think about that as well. And yeah, he retired last year as well, and he said like he misses he missed his playing, but he said it's good to work out for leisure instead of like for work. So he prefers like being like at his own time, being told when he can work out. So yeah, it's I would say he had a big influence as well.
Well, I'm going to ask you a little later about your own future plans, but let's go back a little bit in time. Your career has been well written. A lot of things have been written about you and your brother coming over, being discovered in a video game by a gamer. Your eligibility to play for the Philippines discovered by this gamer, but growing up as a youth, part of that youth program of Chelsea, did you even know about Philippine football? Did you even dream that you would one day be in the Philippines playing football?
Well, to be honest, back then, when we were really young, we weren't aware of a national team, that the Philippines had a national team. It was only until I think we entered our late teens into Chelsea Football Club that was with the access of the internet. We would look on the PFF's website, and that would social media wasn't really around back then, and that was your only information you could gather from it, which was a website. So me and Phil would look at that and, oh wow, it looks quite cool. We see the likes of Ali Borromeo and Chifi Kalagdong playing, and back then we were still like being called up to play for the England England schoolboys, and so of course that was still in our consideration as well. And but then it's not until we're hanging out in the Chelsea change rooms that all the players were like saying which other national teams they could play for, and me and my brother literally walked into the room to start work, and they shout, "Oh, the Philippines! You should play for the Philippines." And we're like, we'd like to actually, like, we're just not sure how we go about it. And I think like after a week, the Chelsea coach came up to us and said he got an email from the PFF if we were interested, and we said for sure, we definitely like. And we went during the summer of 2005 to try out here at Ultra, and it was all since then. And no, I had when you're a young kid, you really want to, you're not quite sure who you're going to play for. Like anyone, I think when you play sports or like watch professional sports, it's more about playing in front of lots of fans and enjoying the game, and you're not really sure who you're going to play for.
I know you're a very close family. How big was the influence of your mom in making that decision, and of course, giving up your opportunity maybe to play for England, choosing the Philippines over a football crazy country like England, and going to the Philippines, where football at that time was really not as popular as it is now. Yeah,
well, no, our mum, when she heard the news that there's a possibility, she was really proud. She was really excited. I think she was excited to come to the Philippines to see her family again and have a reason to come back, like free trip, if you will, like to and then also see, like, have a holiday here as well. But yeah, she was, and I'm just happy that she really was around to see us. As you said, when football maybe wasn't where it was a different awareness back then compared to the last 10 years. I was really happy she got to see the rise of it back in 2010 before she passed away.
Yeah, your first impression of Philippine football when you came over, and of course, was that the first time that you visited the Philippines?
We'd come here every year for vacation, the summer holidays. So we'd spend 4 to 6 weeks here. We'd with our mum and dad, and we travel around. We travel around.
You never played football, even though during those visits. You were just here for the holidays, and so when you came over in 2005 to play already for the national team, what was your impression of Philippine football?
It's really hot. That was my impression. I remember we would stay in back then it was called the Philippine Plaza Hotel. We would stay there for vacation, and I remember me and Phil, we wanted to do some training, and so we got a ball out and we tried to play. I'm like, it's too hot, I can't breathe. But yeah, then we tried, and then we had to play for try out for the national team, and we tried out, and I remember I had trouble breathing, and all the other players, they're used to it, and they're running around me like all the military boys, and I had big respect for them, seeing that. And after that, it just takes a while to get used to. You just gotta get used to keep playing. But yeah, the heat was a major factor, and no, the team, the coaches, the management were so nice and welcoming, and I always say that's the real best thing about the Philippines, the people, like in terms of how they treat you. It makes you like with a smile on their faces, and you become really close. Yeah, of course there were a few other things as well. I remember discovering like the field, it was still in development. Like I remember picking up a brick off the field in ultra.
Well, from 2005 when you first played in the SEA Games all the way to the 2019 AFC Asian Cup, where you ended your career. There have been so many milestones along the way. In a general way, are you satisfied with how your career played out here in the Philippines?
Definitely. If not, I wouldn't have made the decision to retire. I felt like I always, as you said earlier, it's good to leave on a high and not look back, not to have any regrets. I think my last time to play for the Azcals was in the Asian Cup, and I think the most prestigious tournament we've ever played in, and in the game that we only managed to score 1 goal in, and it was a historic game, even though we didn't come away with any victories during that tournament. But it was good to just be involved and to say that after the journey from the last 15 years to get to the Asian Cup, I think just shows the progress, and being involved in that is I'm very happy and proud to be a part of that. Also winning the double last year with Ceres, locally with the League and Cup, and also to play in the AFC Champions League and AFC Cup at the start of the year. And it looked all. I said my plan was to finish 2020, but with the pandemic, it affected a few things and disrupted that. And I felt, it's just now it's time, and I didn't really want to come in and play, and it's kind of like I feel out of flow, and I think I want to finish my career at my best shit, where I'm training regularly and in shape. We said now they're allowed to restart training again, both in professional football and basketball. And I'm excited for the players and the football group. It's just me personally, I'd want to be at my highest, best, where I can compete. Even seen in the leagues in Europe where they've just started again, it's the game, they're still regaining their fitness after coming back from such a big break.
Well, it's really a big news that practices will resume for both professional players in basketball and football, but clearly there's still a lot of work to get football started. But let me ask you, I read your brother Phil saying that your contributions to Philippine football have been greatly, quote, under the radar. Do you agree, and do you mind that? Having a brother who's probably was given more prominence, but do you agree that your contributions have been greatly under the radar, James?
I wouldn't say I agree. I just say I'm thankful to my brother for saying that, and some other players have said that as well. And for me, I'm just happy that some players acknowledge that and bring that up. And now I'll be honest, I'm really proud of my brother and happy for what he accomplished as well. And that's and I was always, when I was younger, my mum and dad taught me that I have to be the kuya. I have to look after myself.
That's nice.
And I said this before, I'm the type of player, like growing up, my role model was David Beckham, and he got more assists than he did probably goals, and I was always more happy giving an assist and scoring a goal. And it sounds weird, but it's true. I just felt I enjoyed that part of football, and that's why I chose to pursue it, because it was a chance to play a game with my brother and play a sport as a team.
Well, from the miracle of Hanoi to the late goal in the AFF Suzuki Cup in 2010, so many milestones, so many real highlights of your career. But what do you consider, James, as your greatest legacy to Philippine football?
I think just being known as an ambassador for the sport and introducing more Filipinos into the sport. And I said I want to be be part of the group and part of the team that helped reach these milestones. And be honest, I would feel bad if I was if it's true. I'm sure every player feels it. You don't want to feel left out as a player, as a football player or sportsman, when milestones are set and you want to contribute in any way you can. And if I just want to be part of the squads and came on the field and worked as hard as I could and used knowledge I gained when I was a young kid and used that to help the Philippines achieve those milestones. So yeah, and also just being known as a player who promoted team sports and just enjoyed the game, enjoyed playing for the Philippines, and enjoyed really singing the national anthem every time I
Wow, that is really touching, and that not too many Phil Foreign players would say that, but that is really touching for me, especially for me who has run leagues and have seen a lot of Filipino based or overseas based Filipinos say that. But let me just talk a little bit about Philippine football, James. You're leaving it in a better place. Now we're competing against superpowers in Asia. We have a better grassroots program. We have our infrastructure is better. But let me ask you about what do you think still ails Philippine football? What needs to be done? Do you agree with this revolving door policy of coaches? Is there a leadership issue? Is there a problem with funding? What do you think?
I just that's a tough question, but a good one. No, I think I believe that things were in place for the next stage. I joke around, but it's true. I say I look at our stages of development now, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you have a 10-year plan. I think now, especially after this pandemic, there'll be plans for the next 10 years. With the league, there was going to be, there still will be, under 22 development team, ASCAL's development team, with mainly young players from the Philippines. And there'll be a good chance for them to get promoted to the ASCAL's first team, and because they'll be playing regularly together, and they have a good coach with Scott Cooper in charge of them to show the way. I've worked with Scott as well, and I know he has the right mentality and the right knowledge to take the ASCALs to the next level for the next 10 years. And it's good. I believe there's a blueprint in plan. But yeah, I think it's in the right direction. I think maybe some would say there's been a bit of a downfall in terms of attendances. But I think once of course you just need that bit more success, really. I think once we do well in major tournaments, we'll be back on the radar more. There'll be more attendees and more awareness again in the sport. I think our goal should be our next goal should be to at least get to the final of the Suzuki Cup, or hopefully win it. And we're aiming for Southeast Asia victories then, and then after that we can look at Asian Cup, and then who knows, maybe the World Cup. But
it's a step-by-step.
Yeah, exactly, step by step.
Step by step progression.
with whatever you do, it's all about progress, and as long as there's progress, everyone, I think you're heading in the right direction. Everyone's going to be happy. But yeah, it's just take time. I believe nothing in the world, nothing is perfect, but there's always those little details, and I believe we're in the right direction.
Well, you, Phil, Ali Borromeo, Chiefy Caligdong, Rob Gear, we're the faces of Philippine football for over a decade, you know, and obviously you carried that responsibility. Who do you think will take over? I mean, there are a lot of good players now, but when you look around, you look at your, you know, the lineup of teams, the players in the ASCALs, who do you think will be the new faces of Philippine football?
I think currently now there's the senior players who've been around with the national team for a long time who will take over. You said you had Ali, Chiffy, my brother, myself. I think now you look at maybe Shrocky would be, because he's the team captain of the ASCALs, and you also have Neil Etheridge, who's just a big presence when he plays in goal for the ASCALs. And yeah, with me retiring now, Neil's I think the remaining member of the 2010 squad. So I think those are the faces, and in the future there's a lot of young players coming up who I believe have the potential to take over. I'll probably name one. It's like, of course, he's been around in UAP as well, and he's decided to become go into professional now, which is fantastic. Harvey Gudoso. So I think they've got all the potential to become the faces, and yeah, I'm on the right path.
All right. Well, you know, let me talk about your future. Just a couple of questions before we end this interview, James. You've talked about your coaching. What specific plans do you have? Do you already know, like you said, you wanted to go to the UK, maybe to the US to get into coaching clinics? Are there specific clinics that you are looking to, or teams that you are trying to get into so that you can get into these to your coaching future?
Well, the UK, that would be one. It's a bit hard at the moment because of the pandemic. Like,
that's right.
Youth sports have stopped, but I feel I need to get to these places just to make use of the time and just get my foot in and start studying these cultures, start networking in these areas. So for me in the UK, I'd like to just go in at Chelsea, at any level at Chelsea, and just really get back in and just get into that mindset of coaching. So the Chelsea youth or Chelsea, anything that they're like that I can do, just to, I'd even be the kit man for the youth team or kit man for the under-7 youth team, just to gain experience and get my foot in the door and just pick those brains. But then also, yeah, and then when it comes to the US, I have a place. There'll be a interesting one. I'm in Illinois that we're looking into. Of course, just hard with the travel ban at the moment, so for that to be lifted. So there's plans. It's just been slowed down because of the pandemic.
I'm sure, but I'm sure when everything goes back to the new normal, perhaps those plans will push even faster. But before I end this, I was going to ask this. You mentioned Phil moving on with his life, having his first son with his wife. Any plans for marriage, James?
Not yet. No, maybe in a few years or like. But it's just I think it's just transitioning into the new career now, and once that gets rolling, it's on the cards.
All right, that's good. Great. And my final question is: are you 100% happy with your decision to retire?
I'd say maybe 1% unhappy. 99. I'd say 99% happy. Yeah. It's as I said, it's been the biggest thing in my life, and it's hard to let go, but I feel it's for the best.
Well, that's good enough for us. You know, you've had a wonderful career, and the way you've boosted Philippine football has been amazing, and the Philippines owes a lot to both you and your brother for taking us to where we are now. And again, I salute you. Thank you for the many years, and I wish you the best, James.
Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
All right. Yan po mga kaibigan, si James Young Husband, ang ating Philippine football stalwart, ika nga, ang naging mukha ng Philippine football for a very long time kasama ng kanyang kapatid na ngayon po ay nagretiro na mula sa kanyang paglalaro as a professional football player. Alright mga kaibigan, at this point, we are ready for our next guest. Talagang napakabilis ng ating takbo dito sa Power and Play. Abangan nyo mamaya, by the way, ulit, yung po mga nanalo ng ating Power and Play Pajak promo, mamaya po sasabihin natin lang yan at ating po pag-uusapan yung mga mechanics ulit. But at this point, let me bring in a person who is definitely a familiar face in Philippine sports. He was the architect of that golden era where Philippine sports hauled gold medals left and right. He developed the athletes that we have idolized for a very long time, including the names of Lydia De Vega and Isidro Del Prado. The former Philippine Olympic Committee President, the former project director of Gintong Alay, and now the mayor of Lawag City, the Honorable Mayor Michael Kion.
Good morning, Nolly. Good morning to your viewers and listeners. Greetings from the Sunshine City of Lawag.
Wow, wonderful. It's so nice to see you, Mayor Mike. It's been a while, and you're looking good.
Thank you, Nolly.
Well, first of all, before I go into sports, I just want to ask you, how is Lawag at this point? I've read a little bit about it, and you've done a terrific job in your city. How is the city dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, Mayor?
Well, Nolly, as of now, the whole of Ilocos Norte has 5 people who succumbed to COVID, but 2 are recovered, 3 are still in quarantine. In Lawag, as of now, we don't have any COVID as of now.
Wow, that is terrific. And obviously, a lot of that is because of what your city government has done. How is the? Are you now in MGCQ, Mayor? Are you already? Is it already lifted as well?
No, it's modified GCQ, and it's not just the city. It's basically the province under the leadership of Governor Matthew Marcos Manotoc. We have really secured our borders. What's intriguing about all this is that so many of our OFWs in Kailian are coming back from overseas because they see Ilocos Norte and Lawag City as a safe haven. We have sometimes every day we have up to 100 people at our borders trying to come in, and we have that sunod-sunod. We have that nearly every day. There are so many people returning to Ilocos Norte and Lawag. We take the security of Ilocos Norte and Lawag City very seriously. Everyone that is allowed in has to undergo 14 days quarantine. And in fact, we're having a hard time in Lawag finding enough hotels and other places, other buildings, hotels, to be able to put in all the people who are undergoing quarantine. But we're doing our best. So far, so good.
Well, you know that you don't only take care of the people of Lawag, but you're also a very big sports fan. You have been a leader of Philippine sports, and sports has been hit big by the pandemic. Now there are moves by the IATF to restart professional basketball and professional football through practices. Do you believe it is necessary to restart sports, Mayor, again? And what message would it be sending to the country if sports is back?
I think we have to be careful. I think, take a look at Djokovic. He put together a tennis tournament and he ended up by succumbing to COVID. I think that people have to be very careful. I think in the United States, they loosened things up, and there was a huge second wave of people being infected by COVID. I personally believe very strongly that we should move very slowly and carefully. South America, America, India, there are many places that are succumbing to a second wave of COVID. And I'm a sportsman. Nolly, until now I still run. I run 5K at the back of where I live. I don't wear a mask when I run. In fact, that's a whole issue. Governor Matthew actually wants to put together a fun run. We've actually put together a running course in the center of Lawag for runners and fitness enthusiasts to be able to use. And the whole issue is whether people want to wear masks or not when they run. And in fact, I even heard that there was a runner in Manila who ran, I think, 20 kilometers wearing a face mask and subsequently died. And this is why we have all these issues with sport and COVID. But I still run 5. Sometimes I can run more than 5K. I would wish sports and professional sports to return. I don't look forward to sports being held without spectators. I think that would affect the performance of the athletes, because we all like to perform in front of a crowd. And but be that as it may, I'm not sure about your question, how to answer your question about COVID. It's medyo mahirap, Nolly.
Yeah, well, I understand that completely. I know that a lot of people, of course, see sports as perhaps non-essential in that sense, but to some other people, though, it is probably a way to see a little normalcy in our lives, even though it is certainly not normal at this time. But let me go to something that is even closer to your heart, Mayor Mike. This is your program back in the 80s of the Gintong Alay. We know how successful that was, and how up to this day the success continues to reverberate with names like Lydia De Vega and Isidro Del Prado and all of these the guys that were part of your program. I want to know, and I've been always very curious, and this is, I guess, to start this, was President Marcos, who was a known sports aficionado, a sports buff. He was a golfer. He was a bodybuilder. He was a shooter. He played a lot of other sports. Did he have a direct hand in the way the program was built and in the success of the program, Mayor?
Well, I would just like to say that the first aspect of Gintong Alay was created on October 31, 1979 through letter of instruction number 955, creating Project Gintong Alay. Now, the president, he knew of my background as a sportsman. He knew of the fact that I ran in Australia and that I was the UAAP champion in the 5,000 meters. And he
medyo nawala yata si Mayor Mike Kion. Tingnan natin kung mababalikan natin. Wow, that's interesting. His take so far about he's not excited about lalaro without fans. Let's see if we can get Mayor Mike back on the line. Again, he's coming live po mula sa city of Lawag. Naimbag na bigat po sa lahat ng ating mga kaibigan. Let's see. Okay, Mayor Mike, we lost you a bit.
Nolly, I'm sorry. Yes. And as I was saying, Nolly, the president, after initiating Project Gintong Alay, wanted me to prove myself. And so this is where I'd like to say the following. In 1980, we began the program in October 1979. In 1980, Lydia De Vega ran in a track and field competition that was held in Marikina at the time. And Lydia De Vega at that time ran the 400 meters in 54.6 seconds at the age of 16. And that was an Asian Games record, a Southeast Asian Games record, and a Philippine record. And the guest of honor and speaker was the president himself. Once he saw that we were capable of achieving this, he then continued to support me and allowed me to optimize Gintong Alay to not only include track and field, but to include all the sports under the Philippine Olympic Committee and all the sports participated in the Southeast Asian Games. But I had to prove myself. And I'd just like to say this, that my greatest regret about Gintong Alay is not having fulfilled the potential of both Lydia De Vega and Isidro Del Prado. May I continue about that?
Yes. Why do you say that? Why do you say that, Mayor?
Because of the fact that Lydia was able to run the 400 meters in 54.6 at the age of 16. If you give her 8 years, that takes her to the age of 24. She could have easily gone under 50 seconds. If you go under 50 seconds, you're already in an Olympic final with the potential to win a medal. Now, she could have run even faster than that. Lydia was fast over 100, 200, and 400 meters. She actually had the potential to perhaps win an Olympic medal over 400, not over 100 and 200. She was the sprint queen of Asia in the 100 meters, but she could not have beaten the Black American athletes or the Russian athletes over 100 meters. For the Asian Games, yes, not for the Olympics, but in the 400 meters, she had the capability, and sorry to say, that was never fulfilled. In fact, her great rival in the Asian Games, P.T. Usha of India.
That's right.
Won the 400 meters low hurdles bronze medal in Montreal, and Lydia perennially beat her. So if P.T. Usha would win a bronze medal in the Olympics, I believe that Lydia De Vega could have perhaps won an Olympic gold medal over 400 meters.
That is very interesting, considering how decorated Lydia was. Now I'm beginning to understand that she could have even been a bigger name in world track and field. But, talking about Lydia De Vega and homegrown talents, now, Mayor Mike, we're seeing an influx of overseas Filipino-based athletes that are competing for the Philippines. Did you also consider that at that time for Gintong Alay to bring in foreign athletes to be part of your program at that time?
To tell you the truth, Nolly, the answer is no. We saw so much talent dito sa Filipinas. If we talk about Isidro Del Prado, we talk about the 4x400 meter team, which to this day still holds the Philippine record. They came very close, I believe, last year to breaking it, but it wasn't broken. Del's time in 400 still stands today. He came from Bicol. Hector Bigeo, who still holds the 3,000 meter steeplechase record to this day, comes from the Cordilleras. I saw in the Palarong Pambansa, I saw when I ran sports dito sa Ilocos Norte, when I was the Ilocos Norte Sports Development Council head, I see so much talent locally, and it is my deep regret that, for example, the training camp in Baguio was not sustained. We were able to achieve what we did because of the training camp we had in Baguio, and because we believed in the local talent and we searched for local talent. There is so much talent in this country. You don't need to look overseas. You just have to have the proper talent scout system, and you have to have people in place who are truly dedicated in training, finding the right athletes, training the athletes, and putting them within an environment which will bring out the best in them, ensuring they have the best equipment, the best coaching, and the best competition. And I believe that we did that to a certain extent in Gintong Alay, and that can be done again. If we had talent in the 80s, of course we have talent in 2020.
Well, if you look at the current roster that are Olympic hopefuls, all of them are homegrown. You've got EJ Obiena for pole vault, of course. Heidelin is there. Carlos Yulo for gymnastics, and the boxer Yumer Marshall. But
Yes.
Again, we talk about those athletes in relation, of course, to the success of the Southeast Asian Games in 2019. Do you think that there is, we are in the right direction, Mayor Mike?
Well, the victory of the Philippines in the Southeast Asian, the recently concluded Southeast Asian Games, is the second time that the Philippines has won the Southeast Asian Games. We won it in 2005, and we won it again now. Now, we had a lot more sports this time than last time, okay? There are a lot more gold medals at stake. But having said that, it was handled quite well, and I was surprised by it, because prior to it, people were talking about doom and gloom, but actually it turned out to be champions, and that is good. I believe that we're moving in the right direction, but we could move faster, and I believe at the same time we also have to take a long-term perspective and really look for talent and build up that talent, instead of looking for Phil Ams, Phil Australians, Phil British. I understand that Mr. Younghusband was with you before this, and he has contributed. And of course, we look forward to Filipinos who have grown up overseas, and Filipino Americans, Filipino Australians, British, for also looking to use their talent. But what I'm trying to say is that there's so much talent here in the Philippines. I believe that the Philippine Sports Commission must have a greater emphasis on grassroots development.
All right. Recently, a law was passed where the National Academy for Sports was created. Again, this is a somehow following the footsteps of what was created back then. But the National Academy for Sports is supposed to be a school, an academy for athletes. Do you think that this is a concept that will help Philippine sports if used properly?
Yes. Yes. The most important line that you said, if used properly. I think it's an excellent concept, but it's got to be implemented properly. It's with everything. You know, in the Philippines, Nolly, we have excellent laws. It's a question of implementing those laws. We have excellent plans. We have excellent strategies, but it's a question of implementing these things properly. And it's one thing to have things written down well. It's another thing to have good concepts, but to make those concepts a reality is another story. And this is why we need to have men and women in sports who are truly dedicated in fulfilling their jobs and fulfilling their talent.
You know, we're still looking for that elusive gold, Mayor Mike. I know that was part of the plan of Gintong Alay, and during your time with the Philippine Olympic Committee.
Yes, you in gymnastics.
All right, so that's what I was going to ask. Do you believe that that elusive gold is coming soon? And if ever, what do you think would still be the sport that could bring that gold to us? Is it still boxing, or are you looking at something else? Weightlifting, for instance?
Well, yes, boxing, of course. I mean, we have Manny Pacquiao. I mean, we should be able to win a gold medal in boxing. We've won silver medals in boxing in the Olympics. But this young man, I forget his first name, Yulo, the gymnast. I forget his first name.
Carlos Yulo.
Carlos Yulo. I saw him perform. He was excellent, and I believe that he has a chance. And he's rather short, and that's why it's important that we compete in sports where our stature doesn't affect our performance. And that's why we have boxing in the different divisions. We have martial arts in the different divisions. And of course, we have gymnastics. And you even mentioned weightlifting. So I really believe that we have the talent. It's just that we have to get our act together. But we really have the talent, and I believe that we'll eventually win that gold medal.
I'm running out of time, Mayor Mike, but one thing I admire over the years is really your passion for sports and how you have executed it well. I know that the city of Laoag is lucky to have a man who is at the helm, but who also has sports as an important project, as an important part of nation building for you, at least in your own city. I remember playing the PBA in Laoag before. We had our all-star game in Laoag, and now the PBA is looking at to restart. The NBA is what they call a bubble concept. Just to say, far-fetched idea, Mayor Mike, would you be a willing host for a bubble concept to play the PBA in Laoag City, where, as you have said, it has become a safe haven for many people?
Yes, I would. And in fact, I know that the governor, Matthew, who's a basketball aficionado, would also be very interested. But so I would say to you a resounding yes.
Well, because you've got the facility, you've got the hotels, and you've got the environment, which is safe, which is the most important part. Mayor Mike Quezon, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Nolly. All the best. Thank you.
All the best to you and the city of Laoag.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Alright mga kaibigan, yan po si Mayor Michael Quezon, ang dating presidente ng Philippine Olympic Committee, and of course, ang project director ng Gintong Alay during the golden years of Philippine sports, yung lalong-lalo na sa Philippine athletics. Sabi nga niya, naku, si Lydia De Vega, yun ang kanyang frustration. Could have been an Olympic winner kung naipush lamang daw niya, because ang ganda na ng oras. Lydia was clocking at 54 seconds in the 400 meters at 16 years old, and he was hoping na maibababa niya yan to less than 50 seconds, which would already be very competitive at the time for the Olympics. Well, ganyan po talaga ang talbog ng panahon. Alright, at this point, mga kaibigan, we will take a very quick break. But before we do so, again, mamaya po babanggitin na namin kung sino ang mga nanalo ng ating Power and Play Padjak promo, or ang aming content, or rather giveaway dito sa Power and Play. Kami po ay alright, bago tayo mag-break, gusto lamang po namin magpasalamat sa lahat po ng mga tagapagtaguyod ng palatuntunan namin, lahat po ng mga sponsors na patuloy na sinusuportahan po ang Power and Play. Gusto po namin pasalamat, of course, sa Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa Tibay. Marami po salamat kay Engineer Gilbert Cruz at ang buong staff ng Big Boss Cement. Basta kailangan nyo po ng kaagapay sa inyong mga proyekto, Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa Tibay. Nais ko rin po magpasalamat sana sa Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Ang Cherry Loom po ay patuloy na nagbibigay ng tulong sa lahat po ng mga proyekto, hindi lamang po ng private sector kundi ng pamahalaan. Again, Cherry Loom ni paring Elmer Ngo, maraming salamat. Kung kailangan nyo po ng matibay na roofing material, Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Elms Resto Bar Group, home of native itik, is now open in all 4 branches mula alas 10 ng umaga hanggang alas 6 o alas 8 ng gabi. Capitolio Pasig, Calle Bistro Commonwealth Quezon City, Robinsons Novaliches, Poblacion Makati. Pwede rin po kayong tumawag sa mga mobile numbers nila, 0977-157-0499 or 0917-417-7641, o di kaya sa Instagram nila, Elms Resto Bar Group, para sa inyong advance orders. Marami din po salamat sa Joyride, ang bago nyong kasundo. Ang use Joyride delivery and pabili when buying from your favorite shops and restaurants. Now at our lowest prices ever, you can book all your delivery needs, and we guarantee that all your goods will safely reach your destination in no time. Available po yan sa Metro Manila, sa mga lugar sa Rizal, Cavite, Bulacan at Laguna. Ngayon po, naglunsad ng Joyride ng kanilang bagong produkto, Taxical Service, on-demand tricycle po, dyan po sa Antipolo City. And of course, ang aming patuloy na conversion ng mga tricycle sa delivery service sa mga lugar po ng Valenzuela, Binangonan, Bacoor, Antipolo City, at soon sa Pasay City. Download na Joyride and happy move and enjoy the Joyride experience. Gusto rin po namin magpasalamat sa MP School of Makeup Artistry. Ito po yung Makalaj Professional, ang aming official hair and makeup sa Power and Play. And of course, marami po salamat kay Dr. G. Sarmiento and Doc Richie Sarmiento ng Skin, ang Face and Body Anti-Aging Center. Meron ba kayong mga skin concerns? Skin Now has online consultation from Mondays to Saturdays, alas 3 hanggang alas 5 ng hapon. Text with details on your skin concerns sa 0917-890-1640. Bukas na rin po ang Skin dyan po sa Alabang Town Center, ha? By appointment po, at tumawag lamang sa kanilang mga numero. Nagdi-deliver din po sila ng mga needed skincare products, payment strictly through bank deposit and delivered via Joyride. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga naging kasama natin sa Power and Play. We'll take a quick break. Magbabalik pa po kami para sa ating second hour ng Power and Play.
Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala. Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala.
Ang nanay ko, doktor.
Tatay ay nagtatrabaho bilang pulis.
Ang ina ko ay isang pharmacist. Akong amay, usa ka nurse.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Araw-araw nilang nilalagay ang kanilang buhay sa peligro sa ngalan ng serbisyo. Hindi lang para sa mga mahal nila sa buhay, kundi para sa ating lahat. Kaya't sa ating mga Filipino frontliners, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Lahat kami ay saludo at sumusuporta sa inyo.
Hatid sa inyo ng PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Sa patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19, narito ang ilang impormasyon tungkol sa social distancing. Sa community quarantine, nililimitahan ang paggalaw ng mga tao. Ganito rin ang sitwasyon sa sektor ng transportasyon, subalit patuloy ang biyahe ng cargo at delivery. Ipinagbabawal naman ang pagtitipon-tipon sa isang lugar. Suspendido rin ang klase at ibang aktibidad sa loob ng isang buwan. Ipinapatupad din ang flexible working hours sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno at hinihimok din ang mga pribadong kumpanya na gawin din ito. Sa panahong ito, hinihikayat ang lahat na panatilihin ang layong 1 metro o 1 dipa mula sa mga tao sa inyong paligid. Labanan ang virus, pigilan ang pagkalat, tuksain ang COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Transmitting live from our brand new studios at TV5 Media Center and Reliance Mandaluyong. By land, by sea, and on air. Mula sa pinakabaksong newsroom sa buong bansa. 25,000 watts. Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM. Iwanan mo na ang lumang tunog ng AM.
Noli Iyala, Power and Play sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM. Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala. Alright mga kaibigan, nagpabalik po tayo sa Power and Play in our second hour. Gusto ko lang pong basahin ang mga ibang nagbigay ng kanilang pulso sa ating katanungan ngayon. Ano ang inyong masasabi sa desisyon ng IATF na payagan na ang basketball at football na mag-practice among the pros? Sabi niya, good morning Sir Noli. Mula to kay yung ending na number niya 7345. Welcome development po ang magpayag sa PBA at pro football players sa kanilang practice at meron ng pag-asa sa nalalapit nilang pagbabalik at paglalaro. We're all looking forward to that. Well, tayong lahat gusto natin makita yan. Meron kagaya nga ng sinabi ni Mayor Mike Kion, medyo hinay-hinay, hindi pwedeng biglaan. Good morning Sir Noli, ako po si Rex Manghay from Zamboanga City. Huy, magandang umaga po dyan sa inyo. Para sa akin, dapat wala pa ring practice ang football, pati basketball kasi wala pa pong vaccine. Well, may mga ganyan pong agam-agam Talaga namang, in fact, even in the NBA, alam nyo ba ho, out of the 351 players na tinesta para po doon sa kanilang restart, 25 na ang merong COVID. 10 po idagdag pa sa mga personnel. So, hindi po biro-biro yung mga pagbabalik sa paglalaro. ito pa, dapat payagan na ang practice laro ng professional basketball at football at kung pwede i-live para mapanood ng mga tao from Florin Urbistondo ng Barobo, Surigao del Sur. Magandang umaga po diyan sa Surigao. Sana nga mapanood na natin silang lahat. Magandang umaga po sa lahat ng mga nakikinig sa atin, si Maricel Alunan, Zenaida Chavez, si Imaizumi Ayumi. Ayan, ano natin yan, suki natin yan si Ma'am. Si Ara Barido, good morning Ara. Ronald Katampatan, morning po sa Power and Play. And of course, happy birthday sa aking paboritong bayaw, si Ancho. Ancho Mohe, dyan po sa Canada. Magandang umaga din po at happy birthday kay Attorney Ben Olivas sa San Francisco. At kinakamusta ko po ang aking mga kaibigan, si Sevi Oliva na kasama ko noong Miyerkules at si Monsur del Rosario. Good morning Monsur, nakasama natin yan sa Manila Southwoods Golf noong pong Wednesday. Alright, at this point mga kaibigan, just before I introduce our next guest, gusto ko lang pong pasalamatan lahat po ng mga naging kaagapay natin at naging sponsor natin sa Power and Play Padjaka, lahat po ng mga nagbigay ng donation nila para mailunsad ito pong proyekto nating ito. Of course, ang Big Boss Cement at ang Cherry Loom at ang Joyride at Happy Move, maraming salamat po sa inyong suporta. Gusto ko rin po magpasalamat sa LSGH 80, kay Mr. Arben Santos ng Sinabon, Judge Monique Kisumbing Ignacio, Doc Ernesto Bani Mendoza, si Cesar Campos Jr. ng Singapore, si Larry Lebron, si Mon Torres, si Sevi Oliva at si Paul Alejandrino. Maraming salamat po. Meron pa mga anonymous na nagbigay ng kanilang mga suporta. Salamat po sa inyong lahat sa suporta sa Power and Play Padjak. Mamaya po, just before we end, sasabihin na natin ang mga mabibigyan natin ng 2 bisikleta ngayong araw na ito. At this point, ipapasok ko na po ang naging panayam ko with 2 of the most colorful players sa PBA. Isa po naglaro noong dekada 80 at ang isa naman ay naglalaro pa rin. Pero pareho po silang mga siga ng basketball court. Walang iba kung hindi ang isa sa mga Bruce Brothers, si Ricky Relosa ng Toyota at ng Alaska including Shell, at si Bo Belga ng Rain or Shine Elasto Painters. Ngayon po kasama natin ang dalawang panauhin natin dito sa ating panayam. Alam nyo po, kung meron pong description sa tough players ng PBA, ito pong dalawang ito na nasa harapan ninyo, ang tunay na macho, tunay na siga ng hard court. Yun po yung tinatawag natin nung araw na mga quote-unquote enforcers. Hindi po sila maduduming player. Iba po yung madumi. Iba po yung madumi sa tough or enforcer. At hindi rin naman po masasabi na katulad po sila ng talagang puro depensa lang ang laro. Dahil kagaya po ng mga Jericho Diniera, nung Marlo Aquino, yung pong Mark Pingris o Glenn Capasio na defensive players. They are defensive players on their own, but at the same time, they have the toughness perhaps to bear the moniker enforcers. Kasama po natin, walang iba, kung hindi ang 3-time champion, 2 beses sa Toyota, 1 beses sa Shell, Ricky Relosa of the 90s fame. Magandang araw, Ricky. Very nice to see you.
Yes, good morning or good evening sa inyo. Kamusta kayo dyan? Ingat kayo dyan.
Maraming salamat. And of course, kasama rin po natin ang isa pang 2-time PBA champion and of course the 7th pick back in 2008. Walang iba kung hindi si Bo. Big Bo Belga. Magandang araw, Bo. Matagal na tayo hindi nagkikita. Kamusta ka?
Oo nga po eh. Eto po, medyo naiinip na. Gusto nang makabalik sa PBA. Pero wala tayong magagawa. Kailangan sumunod muna.
At siguradong nami-miss ka na ng mga fans mo. Talking about missing, let me just tanungin ko lang si Ricky. Ricky, alam mo, ang tagal ka na naming hindi nakikita, nakakapanayam. We remember your days back with Toyota in 82. And of course, yung 86 most improved player mo with Alaska, your championships with the Toyota team, and of course, nung kayo'y nagsama ni Yoyoy Villamin as the Bruce Brothers. I want to remind everyone kung gaano katindi yung pairing na yon. But again, I just wanted to ask, kamusta ka? Where are you based now, and ano bang pinagkakaabalahan mo ngayon, Ricky?
Wala, nandito ako sa New Jersey. Alam mo naman buhay dito sa States, puro trabaho. Yun ang pinakalibangan namin dito. Paminsan-minsan merong mga liga dito for mga Pilipino, sinasama-sama ako, pero paminsan-minsan lang yun. And that's it. Graduate na ako dyan eh.
Well, alam mo, kahit graduate ka na, hindi ka magiging graduate sa mga tanong tungkol sa basketball. Kaya konting handa lang. Bo, alam ko, sabi mo nga, naghihintay ka para sa liga. And right now, everyone is parang kumbaga nag-aabang ano ba magiging announcement. Pero in the meantime, kayo ba ay pinag-i-ensayo ng rain or shine? Tuloy-tuloy ba ang inyong, at least yung individual training mo, Bo?
Opo, yun lang ang inaano sa amin na siguro ang gusto lang nung mga boss is pagbalik namin sa practice is hindi totally zero. Kahit pa paano meron kang 20-30% na naipuhunan na para pagdating ng ensayo hindi na mahihirapan yung coaching staff kung ano gagawin sa amin.
Definitely, and of course kailangan kondisyon, at least pagdating nyo, pagbalik nyo ng pag-iensayo, talagang kailangan kondisyon dahil mapilisan ito, malamang itong pag-restart natin sa PBA. And you know, alam mo, kayong dalawa became famous not only because of the many things, many championships na napanalunan nyo combined, pero naging paboso din kayo dahil sa mga tough plays that you've been. Ricky, you were part of the Bruce Brothers, most famous pair maybe sa PBA in a very long time. And of course, si Bo Belga, pamoso din doon sa Extra Rice Incorporated with JR Quinyahan, no? So, but you know, one thing about this is, I wanna, kanina describe ko yung enforcers, Ricky and Bo, no? Sabi ko nga, the enforcers are not dirty. They're not dirty players, they are tough players. And to me, ang enforcer ay, when they come on the court, ang laki ng impact nila. Do you agree na mayroong kaibahan ang enforcers from dirty players, Ricky?
No, kasi laki ng pagkakaiba no, kasi sa amin kasi ano lang talaga, depensa lang, no? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na enforcer kasi ginagawa lang namin yung role namin na dumipensa, madikit or may yung banggaan, kasama sa laro yan eh. Ang tingin ng mga ibang tao talagang naninira kami eh. Kaya gano'n eh. Ang ano lang namin, ginagawa lang namin yung trabaho namin na hanggat maaari, wag makashoot yung kalaban namin, yung dinidepensahan namin.
Well, kaya nga enforcer kasi you enforce the law doon sa batas ng depensa, sa batas ng na sinasabi ng inyong mga coach. And talking about enforcing, Bo, ikaw ang isa sa napakaraming fine na suki ka ng PBA Commissioner's Office. Pero again, nobody ever thought of you as a dirty player. And do you believe na talagang may kaibahan yung role na ibinibigay sa isang quote-unquote tough player sa role na ibinibigay dun sa mga tirador?
Hindi, syempre po yung role na gano'n is tulad nga sinasabi po ni Ricky, ginagawa namin yung trabaho namin for us to stay long dito sa liga. Siguro kailangan namin gawin yung talagang kung ano yung kinakata sa amin yung coaching staff, ng mga kung ano yung role talaga namin sa team. And hindi naman kumbaga lang kami, physical in a sense na talagang mararamdaman mo kami kahit saang banda ng basketball court ka. So hindi naman sinasabi na enforcer ka is talagang ang pagpasok mo lang is maninira ka na tapos lalabas ka na. Hindi naman kami gano'n. So malaki yung pagkakaiba, malaki yung ng pagiging madumi sa ginagawa mo lang yung trabaho mo.
Ano ang what do you think? Anong role at nakakatulong ba sa isang team na merong ganong klaseng player? Yung bang talagang matigas, yung siga sa loob ng court na pag pumasok, kakatakutan ng ibang mga manlalaro? Ricky?
Yeah, in a way, oo. Kaya ganon. Malaking din. In fact, syempre, pag meron ka nakatapat na magaling na player din, mag-iisip sila kung ano gagawin nila. So, di ba? Di ba, Boga? Yun ang laro natin di ba?
Yun yun, parang, kumbaga, intimidation factor, pagpasok mo pa lang. Parang, pagdating mo pa lang dun sa scorer's table, papasok ka pa lang. Yung mga nasa loob, yung 5 nasa loob, mag-iisip ano kaya meron dito pag pumasok. Yun yung kumbaga, kaibahan sa scorer, tapos ikaw enforcer ka. Kasi scorer is parang kumbaga literal i-scorean ka lang nito, talagang doon ka lang niya masasaktan. Ang enforcer, maraming pagagawa. Pwedeng score, pwedeng mahirapan ka sa depensa, maraming factor, maraming pwedeng i-contribute yung isang enforcer sa laro.
Alam mo, when you talk about enforcers, mga pangalan, Ricky, that I will rattle off, and tell me if you think they fit the mold, and who do you think best fit the mold of an enforcer? Nandun, of course, si Tembong Melencio nung panahon ng early years ng PBA. We talk about Johnny Revilla. We talk about your partner, Yoyoy Villamin. We talk about even Chito Loizaga and Dante Gonzalvo. And of course, si Robert Jaworski. Who do you think fits the mold of an enforcer, Ricky?
Palagay ko si Tembong Melencio.
Tembong, bakit?
Yeah, si Tembong, oo. Nakita ko yung laro niya, talagang mag-iisip na talaga pag Oo. At saka si Sunny. Si Sunny. Yeah.
Oo. Well, interesting yan dahil alam naman natin ang naging role ni Tembong even with the national team, no? Alam naman natin kung gaano katindi yan pagka may kailangan bantayan at guluhin o wasakin yung utak, lalo na yung mga sindong pa, si Tembong Melencio ang nilalagay dyan. In the same manner naman, Bo, in the current players, yung mga nakalaro mo, you talk about even a guy like Vic Pinisi, o si Ronald Tubit, o even si Winnie Arboleda, na alam naman natin, hindi gaanong kalakihan, pero nakakatakot din pag pumapasok sa court. So, do you think yung mga player na ganyan, ang isang enforcer, hindi necessarily dahil sa laki, kagaya ninyo, lalaki ninyo na naglalaro kayo, hindi necessarily kailangan malaki ka, meron bang certain characteristic ang isang enforcer?
Hindi, siguro yung yung tulad nga na sinasabi namin, yung role na gusto mong kuhanin, na gusto mong i-adapt, kung ano yung gusto mong gawin. Like Ronald, pagpasok ni Ronald talagang, alam niya, papabantay si James, papabantay si kung sinong superstar, na talagang didikdikin niya, pahihirapan niya. Maka-score ka man, talagang literal na kumbaga duduguin ka sa kanila, di ba? So, yun yung kumbaga role namin yung mga role na talagang gusto nila So, yun yung isa sa maganda kay Ronald tsaka kay Kuya Vinny. Talagang pagpasok pa lang.
Meron ba kayo kasi alam naman natin kung gaano kayo katibay, katigas, no? Nung kayo naglalaro ka pa rin, Bo, ikaw, Ricky, nung naglalaro ka, meron ba kayong player na kinatakutan? Meron ba? I mean, the players that you really feel, hindi dahil sa shooting, alam naman natin marami magagaling na scorer. Pero yung, ma-intimidate din ako nitong player na to. O meron ba, as an enforcer, meron ka ba ganon, Ricky?
Hindi ko alam Meron siguro, pero ang sa akin kasi, laro lang. Pag, alam mo naman kasi, ang player pag nanira titignan ka pa ng masama di ba? Talagang sa akin, laro lang talaga. As much as possible, talagang depensa lang talaga. Ngayon, pag napikon siya, tinira ka, handa mo na yung sarili mo. Away na tayo.
Ikaw po, meron ka ba kinakatakutang player na gano'n yung mold ng isang enforcer?
Parang ako dati, early age, earlier ko sa PBA, Kuya Dennis Espino.
Yun.
The way he plays, the way he and siya yung hindi ko makakalimutan sa buong career ko dahil siya yung nag-welcome sa akin sa PBA.
Paano welcome yan?
Binidepensa mo siya. So, siyempre, rookie ako. Talagang, kumbaga, pakitang gilas ako with the Pure Push Company. Talagang, hard-nosed defense. Biglang pumace up. Pagtira niya ng face-up na boarding, binigsakan ako ng siko sa ilong. So, yun. Very memorable sa akin. Until now, talagang si Kuya Dennis ang medyo nailang ako dati.
Meron ka bang ganun na insidente din, Ricky? Meron ka ba nung bago ka na pagpasok mo, magito ka dito, wag ka kagad po forma. Although I know you were a highly recruited rookie din, Ricky. Alam natin yan.
Oo. Kalaban namin ng Crispa noon. During mo opening, kalaban namin Crispa. Itong mga veterano, medyo ginugulangan ako. Yung physical ba? Hanggat lahat ang ginagawa nila sa akin, ginagawa ko rin sa kanila. Dinodoble ko yung hirap. Hanggat napipikon sila sa akin. Kaya gano'n.
Nakakatuwa yun. Do you think ang mga enforcers are treated, ibang trato ng mga referees? Para bang meron nakalagay dito sa gitna ninyo na bullseye? Lagi kayong tinitingnan?
Totoo yun. Totoo yun.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Unfair sa amin. Diba? Dumidepensa ka ng dumidepensa ka lang, iniisip nila, makatimulo na nakapito na kaya hindi kami makadepensa na gusto kumisan Akala nila tinitira nila tinitira namin, babaw. Ganun na nangyayari sa atin, di ba?
medyo kumbaga medyo yung image factor ang nag-aano sa amin dahil tulad sa akin pagka minsan ang player is final mo ng regular, instead of regular foul, pag bumagsak, they will signal F1 or review. Yun yung kumbaga unfair din naman sa amin. Or kumbaga pumagal ka regular, medyo napalakas because of your image, they will like F1 to dahil si ganito. yun yung medyo unfair.
Parang reputational foul ang dating
Parang
ina-anticipate ng referee na tumira kami. Alam mo, nung minsan, meron akong ginawa Meron lumayap. Hinabol ko, tapos pinalo ko yung braso ko. Foul daw ako. Sabi ko, braso ko yung pinalo. At pinalo ko, bakit ako foul? Sabi ko.
Ganun talaga. Ang tingin lang nila yung kamay mo, kahit saan tumama yung foul.
Kaya nga
Okay, let me ask you, kasi alam natin na kayo, you're very intense when you play. Nakita kita, Ricky, in your hair day, talaga namang pag nasa loob ka, parang tigre mo, itsura mo. And alam mo si Bo, pambangiti-ngiti si Bo, pero very intense din ang laro. Pero ang tanong ko, meron bang, kumbaga, nagtitrigger sa inyo na biglang, boom, nagsiswitch, napipikon kayo, and you give a harder hit? Meron bang gano'n na may nasabi sa inyo? O merong ginawa na hindi nyo gusto? Something that triggers you at napipikon kayo? Bo, ikaw muna.
Ako siguro pagka yung teammate ko, more on protector ako sa mga teammate ko Kapag si Paul nagsumbong na sa akin na bata, tinitira ko ni ganito. Doon ako pumapasok. Medyo doon ako na parang out of control. Talagang pipilitin ko na kasi kumaga ako ito yung nagbibigay ng bonus sa akin For example, si Paul. Tinira mo si Paul, may injury si Paul. Makakawalan ako ng bonus So, kailangan ko siya proteksyonan, di ba? Yun yung mindset ko. Kailangan ko proteksyonan si Paul. Kailangan ma-free up to, makatira to ng maayos and for us to win. So, yun yung akin. Nung coaching time namin sa Raymond.
Ricky?
Pareho kami nito. Yung sa akin kasi pag nakikita ko yung mga kasama ko nasasaktan, I mean, hindi naman naninira at natitira sila, Umiinit din ang ulo ko. Kaya ganun. Wala talagang, ewan ko ba, since junior yata ako, ganun na ako Pareho kami ni Bo, pero yung kasama namin, hanggat maaari, huwag masaktan Kaya ganun
Alam mo, Ricky, I remember yung incident in 1981, yung talagang nung laban natin with Malaysia, and that really triggered the big brawl nung Southeast Asian Games, ng preliminary round. Pero ang isang insidente sa iyo na talagang kumbaga defined even the way ang liga ng PBA ay ngayon pinapatakbo ay yung pagkakasuspende mo dun sa suntok mo kay Ronnie Tompkins, no, ng Sunkist, and that was an event na kahit yung GAB, yung Games and Amusement Board at saka PBA nag-away dahil sa iyo. Do you remember that? And ika nga, do you think that is something na you regretted, or sa tingin mo ba at least nakatulong ako ngayon sa pamamalakad ng PBA?
Hindi, sobra na kasi. Hindi, yung GAB kasi, hindi ko alam bakit yun ang decision nila I mean, which is, hindi naman nila alam kung ano nangyari talaga, no? Buti na lang, maraming nag-protection sa akin, kaya papasalamat ako.
At least nakabalik ka, no? Yun ang importante. Bo, are there any regrets sa lahat ng mga fines na nakuha mo? I know that you've had an incident with isa sa pangalaki mo, yung kay Dorian Peña, kayo ni Raymond Almasan, yung kay Jason Perkins na hindi naman kalayuan. All these fines na nasangkot ka, meron bang halo na pagsisisi?
Siguro afterwards, pagka medyo iniinda mo na yung fines, how big it is, mag-iisipin mo, isang cart na ng grocery yung 20,000. So, yun, doon nagsisink in sa akin. Pero, yun nga, yun yung role natin yun yung trabaho namin. And, kung nananalo kami, the way we play, hindi naman siguro kailangan palitan or ibahin.
Alam mo, your reputation as tough players, as enforcers, is very famous in the league. Sa tingin mo ba, Ricky, this helped your career? Dahil alam naman natin, nakilala kayo ng Bruce Brothers. Nung nawala ang Toyota, napunta ka sa Ginebra, then napunta ka sa Alaska, and all the way to Shell. Did you think yung reputation mo as a tough player helped your career?
Yeah, siguro, oo. Kaya lang, anting kasi ng ibang mga tao sa amin, dirty players kami, which is, ginagawa lang namin yung trabaho namin talaga. Kasi ang natutunan ko kasi, since junior ako, hindi ka pwedeng tirahan ng kalaban mo ng harap-harapan. Mga 1 o 2 beses, pag tinirahan ka, kakantsawa ka, sasabihin sa'yo, ginagawa ka asintahan yan Kapay ka pa yan. Diba? So, ang gagawin mo, didepensa mo na gusto, diba? Kaya kumisan, pag sobrang dikit, akala nila naninira ka na.
Alam natin na kahit paano, yun ng reputation mo, even sa paglipat mo ng team, nakatulong sa yan. Pero ikaw, Bo, you've been a loyalist. Of course, na-draft ka ng Pure Foods, napunta ka ng sandali sa Pure Foods, and then of course Burger King, no? Naglalaro ka for a while Burger King before nag-land ka sa Rain or Shine na pagkatagal-tagal, and hanggang ngayon nandun ka pa. So do you think itong reputation mo as a tough player nakatulong sa career mo?
Siguro po, dahil ngayon in the PBA, you need to put up a name on your own for you to stay, tumaba yung career mo. Kailangan meron kang kumbaga reputasyon, even if it's negative sa paningin ng ibang tao, as long as nagtatagal ka sa liga, and na to kumbaga hanap buhay na rin namin to so okay ako kahit na ang tingin sa akin is hindi maganda.
Alright, but let me ask you, Ricky, I know, sabi mo nga sa akin na before the show na you still watch a little lamang ng basketball. Pero do you think na mas matindi ang aksyon, mas tougher ang league nung araw kesa sa ngayon? If you compare the generations, saan mo sa tingin ngayon mas tough, mas physical, mas siga player? Nung panahon ninyo o sa tingin mo panahon ngayon?
Kasi noon nauso sa amin ng no harm, no foul eh. Diba? At saka kami kasi pag natitira kami, nasasaktan kami, hindi kami nagpapahalata na nasasaktan kami. No? Sa ngayon kasi pag ang laro ngayon for me pag merong natira, I mean, ang dami ng arte, marami talaga nagpapalata, pero doon kasi sa amin, kapag tinira ka kahit na nasasaktan ka, cool ka lang. I mean, hindi mo pwedeng pahalata na nasaktan ka dahil nakakahiya. Di ba? Basta handa mo na lang yung sarili mo, inumpisahan mo, tatapusin na namin.
Do you agree, Bo? Na talaga, kumbaga nung araw mas makasiga ang mga player at medyo kagaya ng bagit mo kanina. Ngayon, pag tinapik mo lang ng konti, kagad umaarap, F1 kagad. You agree with that?
I would agree with the past na mas kumbaga hard nose game yung sa kanila dati. Kasi nga, nakakasama ko sila Coach Ala and some of the legends. Sinasabihan ako na kapag ka ito si Bo, sinama mo sa mga 80s and 90s na player, mabait pa to. Mabait pa to, sinasabi sa akin ni Coach Alan. So, it means talagang doon, talagang mararamdaman mo. Every game day, after game, mararamdaman mo, sakit ang katawan mo. And may mga napapanood ako ng mga clips in the past na talagang talagang you will earn every basket that you want. Talagang paghihirapan mo. Yun yung kagandahan siguro dati.
On the other hand, and I would like to think about this, na ang players today, Bo, tila mas maraming skills. Kagaya mo, tumitira ka ng tres. May mga player tayo, mga malalaki, na nagdadala ng bola pababa, no? Do you think that there is more, kumbaga, repertoire ngayon, yung skill set ng mga players ay mas varied kesa nung panahon ni Ricky? And I'm also asking you this, Ricky. You think nung panahon ninyo, kung ito lang, hindi pwede yung ibang bagay gagawin ninyo. Bo, ikaw muna. Do you think there are more skilled bigs today than before?
Siguro po. Dahil ngayon kumbaga ngayon, skills, dinadagdagan pa nila kung ano yung kulang sa kanila, kung ano yung wala, kung ano yung weakness nila, and dinidevelop nila for them to have a longer career. Dahil yun nga, sa ngayon, pagka nasa PBA ka, if you're a guard or whatever, pagka wala kang shooting, you need to develop it. Dahil iiksi yung karera mo sa professional league.
Ricky?
Yeah, totoo yun. Tama yung sinabi niya. Kasi nung panahon namin, laro lang eh. I mean, hindi katulad ngayon, mga batang players ngayon, talagang iba ang laro nila sa amin, iba ang conditioning nila, yung training nila, iba. Malayo sa amin noong araw. Sa amin, bagamat sa amin, abilidad na lang eh. Sa kanila, mga bata, abilidad at saka lakas, training, ibang klase. Yeah.
Totoo yan. Nakikita naman natin talaga, even at a very young age. Kunin na lang natin yung example ni Kai Soto ngayon, na ngayon ay nagsasanay sa Amerika.
Yeah.
Saka makakakita ng 7'2", tumitira ng tres at nagdadala ng bola pababa eh.
Totoo yun.
Okay. Well, alam mo, marami tayo pwede pag-usapan, but it's been a very interesting discussion on the role of enforcers and kung paano naging ganun ang reputation ng mga ganung klaseng players. So my final question sa inyong dalawa is, do you think you are or you were an enforcer nung panahon ninyo? Ricky, ikaw muna.
Siguro.
Bakit? Bakit?
Yun ang tingin nila sa amin. Kahit sa amin, sa amin laro lang, ang tingin nila, wala eh. Kumisa nasa mga tao na nanonood yan eh, kung paano ka, di ba? Sila na nag-judge eh.
Bo?
Ako siguro, ganun din. Kasi, ako naman, enforcer ako in a way just to protect my teammate. Yung, kung gusto mo akong tawagin na madumi ako maglaro, medyo bad boy ang laro ko, I don't care. As long as I'm just doing my job, pinoprotektahan ko yung grupo ko na nagbibigay ng hanap buhay sa akin.
Well, alam nyo, sa aking palagay, in my book, bagamat yan ang tingin sa inyo, I think as an enforcer, you are an exceptional group. Kayo ang nagdadala ng excitement sa laro. You know, hindi naman manonood ng tao kung walang action eh. And I think there is always a role in the game for tough players and enforcers because you were enforcers but never dirty players. Maraming salamat sa pagpapaunlak and giving us this interview ngayong araw na to. Ricky Relosa and Bo Belga.
Thank you.
Salamat.
Alam niyo po, nag-enjoy talaga ako dun sa interview yan. It was a very candid, talaga namang no holds bar na interview na nilabas talaga ni Ricky at ni Bo ang kanilang mga saloobin bilang tough players, enforcers ng PBA. Alright, mga kaibigan, at this time, talking about professional players, alam niyo po, may malaking balita na lumabas kahapon na pinayagan na ng IATF ang practices para sa pro basketball and pro football players. So at this time, makakasama po natin ang isang tao na naging instrumental sa desisyon ng IATF. Walang iba kung hindi ang chairman ng Games and Amusement Board, si Chairman Baham Mitra. Let's see kung nasa linya na po si Chairman Mitra.
Sir, good morning.
Magandang umaga po, Chairman. Nako, kayo po ang man of the hour para sa Sports. Chairman, kamusta po kayo?
Magandang umaga din.
Napakaganda po ng balita kaninang umaga.
Yes, sir, masaya.
Oo nga po. Bago po tayo pumunta dun sa guidelines na nilabas ng IATF, sir, gusto ko po lang malaman, just a little brief history lang. Ano po naging proseso dito? We know that you submitted a 56-page document at kayo po ay nagbigay ng presentation sa IATF. Ano po naging proseso, Chairman Baham?
Yes, last June 10, we were able to present in the IATF na yung guidelines on the resumption of all professional sports. No, it's actually a 59-page document na marami kaming dinagdag. And we were asked to prepare a PowerPoint presentation, but instead of a PowerPoint presentation, I can send it to you in a while. Gumawa kami ng parang animation para ibawan, di ba? Sport tayo eh. Nagulat nga yata sila kasi may music pa, tsaka ano. Anyway, yung mga safety protocols nilagay doon, it's the usual, no? Yung sa tire, yung sa footbath, yung mask, social distancing, and the minimum health standards nandun. And then pinakita natin yung capacity, no? Doon kasi po sila talaga medyo nag-iingat at hindi nga na-aprobahan yun eh. Yung 30%, 50% capacity, 6 feet away, yung mga upuan, and also, yun po ang nangyari. June 10, we presented the protocols that were submitted to us. Yung PBA, wala tayong problema kasi kompleto yung protocols nila. And pinorward, after reviewing it sa doctors natin and nurses natin and yung medical staff ng GAP, pinorward na lang yon. Yung Philippine Football Federation, ganun din po. Medyo parang halos FIFA standards at ginagaya na sa ibang mga bansa. And so, wala kaming masyadong problema. Pati po yung shoots to go na 3-on-3 ni Coach Eric, pinorward din natin yun.
Okay, so,
maganda po,
Chairman,
yung mga ginawa nila, gagayahin. Yes, sir.
Ang sabi po ni Secretary Roque, meron pong joint administrative order na na pirmahan na ng PSC, GAB at ng DOH at yung pong guidelines for health enhancing physical activities, no? Ano po ito? Ano po ang mga sports na sakop nito? At ano po ang pinapayagan nito mga guidelines ngayon?
Actually, ang pinresent po namin ay basketball, football, pati boxing. Medyo nagulat lang po tayo kasi parang hindi yata nila in-announce yung boxing kahapon. Kaya nga nag-request kami ng minutes at saka transcript kasi sabi ni Sekretary Anyo, ba't hindi mo papayagan yan? Basketball, football, pinayagan mo na, sama mo na yung boxing. Total, meron naman basta mag-test naman sila, ba't hindi mo payagan mag-boxing? So I thought that the motion was carried and I was waiting for Secretary Roque to also include boxing, but sa ngayon, parang wala pa eh. When I asked the DOH after the meeting, ang sabi nila, ano daw, parang meron pa daw question sila dun sa testing, but sabi ko, the IATF already approved it. Dapat ilabas nyo na yan and yung mga guidelines ay isunod na lang. So anyway, okay lang naman, inihintay lang natin, hindi naman talaga masyado nagmamadali. And sir, ang practice po ng PBA since ini-insist kinakausap ko kasi si Com Willie, sabi ko, doon na kayo sa labas ng Manila mag-practice para 10. Kasi ang gusto nila 6. Ang doon sa Joint Administrative Order ng GAB, PSC, at DOH, talagang 5 lang. So sabi ko, kasi ang gusto ni Oswili, 4 na players, isang coach, isang health officer.
That's right.
Wag mo na isama sa bilang yung health officer. Doon na lang sa labas, pag pumasok at lumabas na lang yung players at paminsan-minsan na lang ang pasok niya. So, payag na po sila sa 5 and sabi ni Comwili, by July 15, magpa-practice na po ang teams ng PBA. Pero 5 lang po sa venue.
Ano po yun? So, ang ibig po sabihin yan, practices lang. Hindi po pwedeng maglaban-laban, mag-scrimmage, hindi po pwedeng magkaroon ng kahit na anong klaseng contact ang nangyayari sa kanila.
Yes, sir. Actually, yun nga po yung yung pinaka-contentious issue dun sa IATF, yung contact sports, combat sports. Kasi nga, you cannot say that football is not contact. Kasi nga, siyempre, ano kayo dyan di ba? May tackle dyan, di ba? Tapos, sa basketball, siyempre may box out dyan, di ba? Merong dyan So, kailangan magbantay ka. So, wala namang problema Hindi naman very insistent ang PFF at PBA Basta pabayaan lang kaming mag-conditioning, drills, di ba? No contact at walang scrimmage. So,
ano po, Chairman, ang sasunod na phase nito after this unang naipasa natin na practices? Ano po ang pinaplano ninyo na next phase sa pag-restart po ng mga professional sports? Lalo ng basketball. Opo.
Siguro po by July 15 mag-MGCQ na tayo. So yung 5 magiging 10 na po ang pwedeng mag-practice sa court. No? And then siguro after 15 days, pagka another 15 days, baka I don't know, I don't want to preempt and I don't want to predict, but maybe by July 1 baka payagan na rin yung mga scrimmages eventually. Pero
very nice.
That's another issue kasi yung venue will already come to play. Kasi nga po sa ngayon ang feeling ko kung sakasakali August or mid-August or early September papayagan na mag-resume yung PBA, pero yung venue baka wala pong audience.
Ngayon, so walang fans. Parang NBA. NBA may tinatawag silang bubble concept na wala ngang mga tao pero parang hinaus sila sa isang lugar. So, Chairman, ito po, just before ito po ay para sa pro sports. Yung mga leisure basketball, yung po mga weekend warriors, hindi po sakop nito ng IATF o ang ibig po pong sabihin nito, pwede na rin maglaro ang mga ordinaryong mamamayan ng basketball na sila ay 4 lamang?
Yeah, thank you very much. Nagkaroon po ng confusion kahapon. Nung in-announce yan, napuno yung inbox ko Ang sabi nila, boss, pwede na ba namin i-resume yung mga summer league namin na hindi natapos? Pwede na ba kami mag-basketball doon sa plaza namin, doon sa covered court namin dito sa labas ng barangay namin? Sabi ko, teka. Hindi. So the palace came up with a new statement stating that it is exclusively for professionals. Kasi nga po, medyo kumakatok ako sa mga dibdib ng IATF members. Mga boss, payagan nyo naman ito, practice lang naman. Kasi ito, boss, livelihood ito. Kung yung mga workers natin, no work, no pay, ito, no play, no pay. At sa boxing, no fight, no pay. Isipin nyo po, ang 4 na buwan sa buhay ng boksingero is a lifetime.
That's
but
right.
Some of them are aging, some of them are, inactive, and they want to be active. Of course, yung sa PBA, ganun din. As you know, meron na dyan mga pumuporma na malapit na mag-retire, di ba?
Tama yan.
Our good friend and idol, si James Young husband, retired already.
Oo nga po. Kasama natin kanina.
Ay, opo. Nandyan pala. So, he retired already kasi nga, sabi niya, wala yan, mukhang matatagalan pa. So, I don't know what's going to happen to those that are going to retire. Siyempre, makakalaro pa yan. Last hurrah, di ba? Importante.
Well, at least malinaw po yan doon sa mga nakikinig sa atin. Sinasabi ni Chairman na hindi po leisure basketball. Ito po yung exclusive for professional basketball and football players. Ano po ang role, Chairman, ng GAB sa paniniguro na sumusunod po itong mga ligang ito dito sa mga protocol na itinakda ng IATF?
Yung PBA naman po ay andyan na kayo dati, andyan pa yung mga organization. It's a very stable and established league, no? And government, we don't want government to be imposing so much restrictions, and we always believe in self-regulation and assistance lang kami. So siguro sa umpisa, well, dun sa magiging protocols natin, dapat siguro may inspection, we have to inspect the site and make sure that everything is clean, everything is in order, tsaka may social distancing, tsaka wala mo ng scrimmage. Baka mamaya, alam nyo na yung mga player, minsan mag-one-on-one yan, di ba?
May mga nakita ng video daw na gano'n ng PBA na naglalaro daw ng basketball yung ibang player, kaya iniimbestigahan na yata ni Com Willie, no?
Opo, katulad niyan, ang dami ng mga media na nagme-message sa atin. Ano bang gagawin niyo dyan? Relax lang kayo, nandiyan ang PBA, let them police themselves, let them self-regulate. Ngayon, kung talagang feeling natin na hindi maayos yung nangyari, ay saka tayo magko-conduct ng sarili nating investigation. But as I know, the PBA has been doing its job. No? For example, yung kay yung sa isang player na medyo sinuspend natin muna yung license, mukhang dinidisiplina muna nila. Di saka na kami pagka ang tao ay hindi contented sa nangyayari. Saka lang kami papasok. We want government to assist leagues and we don't want to be a burden to them.
Nabalitaan ko rin po, Chairman, na meron po mga iba na nagtatanong din tungkol dun sa MPBL, tungkol dun sa volleyball, yung PSL, PVL, no? At sabi nga nyo, hindi daw yan mga professional, hindi nasa sasakop ng jurisdiction ng GAB. Pero ang tanong nga ho dun ano hong kasi pare-pareho naman daw yung mga manlalaro, no? So ano po kaya ang pwedeng gawin nitong mga to? Dahil syempre sila rin po ay nangungulila sa paglalaro at nangangailangan din ng kanilang hanap buhay. What do you think, Chairman?
Tayo po ay nag-reach out na sa kanila sa professionals. They don't want to admit that they are professionals, which is sad, no? Because according to Chairman Butch Ramirez, if I may quote him, as long as you are paid and do not play for the flag, then you are a professional. And so dapat saklaw kayo ng gobyerno through the Games and Amusements Board, no? Nakausap na namin yung mga volleyball leagues, nakausap na rin namin yung MPBL, ayaw nila. So ano magagawa namin? We don't want, hindi po kami nang aaway, hindi po kami nang gugulo, hindi po kami maramot, pero ang DOH po, tinanong kami. So, bago namin payagan mag-practice yan, bago namin payagan mag-boxing, ano bang control ninyo dyan? So, they are very, siyempre health yan kailangan merong mananagot. Ngayon, pagka nandyan yung GAB, kami ang mananagot sa DOH at sa IATF pag merong contamination dyan or transmission dyan. Okay, MPBL, gusto nilang mag-practice, gusto nilang magliga. Sinong magbabantay? Sinong mag-make sure? Of course, nandyan yung LGU, di ba, na nandyan parati, pero still, a national government agency should still somehow regulate and make sure that health protocols are in place. And kailangan may managot. Yun po ang sabi ng DOH. So sabi namin, sige, walang fund na magaganap, walang practice na magaganap na hindi namin alalayan o bibigyan ng permit sa boxing.
Huli ko po talong, Chairman, kasi kagaya sa NBA, nakita po natin, nagsisimula na sila. Tinitest nila ang bawat mga manlalaro papasok sa Orlando. They have already tested 351 players. Out of the 351, 25 po nag-positive na sa COVID-19. Meron ba hong protocols? Ano po rules tungkol sa magtitest po ng positive? At meron bang requirement ang PBA at ang PFF or PFL na magkaroon ng mandatory testing sa mga players po dyan sa gagawin nilang restart?
Yeah, lahat po ay magte-test bago mag-practice. And then yung PFL, nakausap na natin, they already have their own camps, their own areas in Carmona where there is a FIFA field, kung saan sila maglalaro. Doon sila magpa-practice, doon din sila titira. Hindi na the DOH does not allow interzonal travel. For example, sa Manila ka nakatira pero doon ka maglalaro sa Cavite or taga Cavite ka, sa Manila ka maglalaro, hindi papayag. So kung doon kayo magpa-practice, doon kayo tumira. So parang semi-bubble din po yan.
Okay, that's good. Well, alam po natin maraming nangangamba pa rin mga players, but at least basta nasa sa protocol, ito po mga liga namang ito will be self-policing, and of course, andyan po ang Games and Amusement Board. Chairman, malaki pong bagay yung naitulong ninyo. Yes, sir. Bago po tayo magtapos, ano po?
Yes, sir. Ano po yun? Yung arguments namin, kasi nga ang sinasabi, bakit pro lang ang pinayan, bakit hindi yung amateur? Yung argument po natin na may mga allowances sa PSC yan, may mga allowances sa mga magulang yan, at siyempre mga bata pa yan, baka hindi masyadong maingat. So yun po yung argument na tingin ko kaya pumayag yung ITF. The second one, ongoing na yung boxing sa ibang lugar At saka yung NBA mag-uumpisa na sa July 31. So at saka yung Bundesliga and all the big European soccer leagues are already starting. So I think the Philippines does not want to be left behind, and it also wants to show stability and yung sa health concerns natin, controls nandyan na po. So we're very happy that we are of service to professional sports, and nandyan kayo. Thank you very much.
Malaki pong bagay. Malaki pong bagay yan, Chairman. Marami po salamat sa oras po. Marami po salamat. Congratulations.
Salamat po. God bless. Ingat po lahat. Thank you.
Salamat po. Yan po mga kaibigan, si Chairman Baham Mitra ng Games and Amusement Board sa napakagandang balita para sa mga professional leagues. Pero again, sasabihin po natin, para lang po yan sa mga pro athletes ng basketball at ng football. Hindi po kasama ang leisure basketball, hindi po kasama ang leisure football. Hindi pa rin po pwede tayo maglaro. Malas. Kaya manood na lang tayo kung ano po magiging developments. Alright mga kaibigan. At this point, yung ating pong, bago tayo magtapos ito po yung ating, ginawang programa ng Power and Play sa paggunita na yung ating padyak sa pagbangon, bisikleta, alay sa iyo. Ang aming pong second anniversary give back project sa Power and Play. Again, para po sumali, tuloy-tuloy po tayo Hindi po titigil ngayon linggong ito. Tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa buong buwan ng Hulyo at ng Agosto. Tayo po ay mamimigay ng bisikleta para sa mga nangangailangan. Ito po ay gagawin natin sa pamamagitan ng inyong pag-post, pagsagot sa katanungang bakit nyo kailangan ng bisikleta sa panahon ng pandemya. At lagyan po ninyo ng hashtag Power and Play Padyak. I-like din nyo po ang aming Facebook page at mag-subscribe po sa Noli Iyala YouTube channel. Kahit po sa linggo-linggo po kami mamimigay, at ito po ay available sa lahat ng mga nakatira, mga fans natin sa Greater Manila area. Maraming salamat ulit sa Big Boss Cement, Cherry Loom, Joyride and Happy Move, sa LSGH, Lasal Green Hills 1980, kay Mr. Arben Santos ng Cinnabon, Judge Monique Ignacio ng RTC Mandaluyong, kay Dr. Ernesto Bani Mendoza, kay Mr. Cesar Campos Jr. ng Singapore, kay Larry Lebron, Ramon Torres, at kay Sevi Oliva at Paul Alejandrino ng United States. Sa mga donors po natin to, marami pang mga anonymous na nagbigay sa atin. At marami din pong salamat sa mga lahat na nagpost babasahin ko yung iba nagpadala. Lahat po kayo ay kwalipikado sa ating ating proyekto. Si Robert Hoson, Ruben Siad Cuadro Jr., Christopher Amyan, Art Castro, Jennifer Brutas, Archie Salazar, Peter Teves, Gilbert Montejo, Paul Anthony, Alex Dulva, Romeo Mandehar, Ohor Sirich, Levej Okram, si Dixon Castro Montero, Delphine Lacsinto, Naldo Dacles at si Verl Mirador. Patuloy lang po kayo magpadala ng inyong mga kasagutan at amin pong yan ay babasahin at meron po kaming committee na tinitingnan ng inyong mga kasagutan. Pero ito po ang aming bibigyan ngayong araw pong ito. Ang una po namin bibigyan ng isang bisikleta ay siya po ay isang security guard sa Loyola Garden Antipolo. Taga Muntinlupa City po siya na ngayon ay nangungupahan sa Antipolo, malayo sa kanyang pamilya dahil sa hirap ng transportasyon. Noong di pa siya nangungupahan sa Antipolo, siya ay inaabot ng 5 sakay papunta sa kanyang trabaho sa Antipolo mula sa Muntinlupa. Siya ay umaasa na kung papalarin, mapili at mabigyan ng bisikleta ay makakauwi na siya ng madalas sa kanyang pamilya sa Muntinlupa. Well, kayo po ay pinalad dahil kayo po ay karapat-dapat. Walang iba kung hindi si Delphine Lacsinto. Makakatanggap ka ng isang bisikleta mula sa Power and Play at makakakuha ka ng isang mensahe mula sa amin dito sa Power and Play. Congratulations kay Delphine Lacsinto, isang security guard dyan po sa Antipolo. Ang pangalawang bibigyan natin ng bisikleta ay isang bulag na masahista. Well, hindi po siya ang gagamit ng bisikleta. Siya po ay taga Marikina, may 3 anak. Humihiling ng bisikleta para sa kanyang asawa upang magamit pagpunta sa palengke at pang-deliver ng kanilang mga ibinibentang pagkain na kanilang ikinabubuhay ngayong panahon ng pandemya. Ito po ay talagang nangangailangan ng isang sasakyan at kaya po ikaw, Alex Dulva, ang bibigyan po ng Power and Play ng isa pang bisikleta. Alex Dulva ng Marikina City. So, Delphine Lacsinto at Alex Dulva, congratulations sa inyo. Makakatanggap po kayo ng mensahe mula sa amin kung paano namin ipapadala ang mga bisikleta. Kami po ang magpapadala sa inyo ng inyong mga bisikleta. So patuloy po na kayo ay magbigay ng inyong kasagutan. Bakit kayo nangangailangan ng bisikleta sa panahon ng pandemya? Ilagay lang nyo po hashtag Power and Play Pajak. Ilagay din nyo po ang inyong paboritong mga sports idol, and of course like our Facebook page Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala at yung pong YouTube channel ko, Noli Iyala YouTube channel. Naku, napakarami po ng nagbibigay sa atin mga kaibigan natin, mga matataba ang puso na patuloy pong nagdo-donate ng mga bisikleta para po sa inyo lahat ngayong panahon ng pandemya. Amin lang pong konting hakbang, pagtulong para po sa inyo lahat na alam naman natin ay hirap na hirap ngayon po sa panahon nitong krisis na ito. Alright, again Alex Dulva at Delphine Lacsinto, congratulations sa inyo. So, kami po ay nagtatapos ngayong araw po ng Sabado. Marami po salamat sa lahat ng aming nakasama. Ngayong araw na to, may mga konti pa tayong pagbate mula kay Doy Likmoan, Alex Fuentes ng Bacolod City, Joe Tadel, si Doc Bunny, maraming salamat Doc, and of course si Fiel Serviente ng Quezon City. Kinabati rin po natin ang isang magandang umaga ang SPC Medical Center, ang SPC San Pablo Colleges na meron pong virtual graduation sa July 13 ng kanilang senior high school program, at of course ang St. Patrick's School ng Quezon City. Maraming po salamat sa lahat po ng nakasama natin ngayon. James Young Husband, Mayor Michael Kion ng Lawag City, si Bo Belga at Ricky Relosa, and of course si Chairman Baham Mitra. At sa inyo po lahat na sumubaybay sa amin ngayong araw na ito, magsama-sama po ulit tayo sa susunod na Sabado. Lagi po namin sinasabi, bawal ang masungit tuwing Sabado. At sa lahat po ng ating gawain ad maiorem Dei gloriam, all for the greater glory of God. Happy Sports Weekend, mga kapatid!
Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala. Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala.